Coming to you from lovely downtown Santa Rosa, it's the Backstage Sonoma Radio Show. And now, here's your host, Steve Roby.
Low Moon is a Los Angeles-based alternative rock band that made waves with its debut single Loveless and its self-titled debut album, which followed soon after. The band was formed when singer-songwriter Matt Lowell moved to LA to pursue music, and it's also where he met the rest of the band. Low Moon's latest album is called I Wish You Way More Than Luck. I caught up with Matt to talk about the record and Low Moon's upcoming show at Rickshaw Stop. But first, let's listen to a sample from the album. This is called Borrowed Hills. Hi, Matt. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Stephen. How are you, man?
Great. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Before we discuss the current album, could you tell our listeners how did Low Moon come together and who are its members?
We came together when I moved to Los Angeles in around 2014, I want to say 2014. And our members are Samuel Stewart and Crisanta Baker.
Let's talk about the current release. I understand the album's title came from a commencement speech by the author, David Foster Wallace. What can you share about this?
The entire record was based around a very unique time in my life. I went to a school up in rural Connecticut for high school, and it was the place I kind of discovered my artistic voice. Although not fully formed, it was the place I fell in love with music and fell in love with writing songs. First place I wrote a song. And during the pandemic, I became very nostalgic for that time and trying to get back to the reason I really started making music and writing songs. And I just based the entire record around that time. And with that, I was reading a lot of literature that was either inspired by coming of age or kind of that, very unique time in everyone's life. I think high school was a unique time. So I was reading Salinger and I was reading Fitzgerald and I was reading all these things that kind of happened or took place in Connecticut or on the East Coast. And I hadn't read those books in a long time. And then I went through a really, really heavy David Foster Wallace phase and read everything from Infinite Jest to Hell King. And obviously had been, like I do, when I get into something, I go all the way in. And he gave a speech at Kenyon College called This Is Water. And the last line of the speech is, I wish you way more than luck.
There are these two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the two young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and goes, "What the hell is water?"
When I read it, I really thought that was a song title and a song lyric, and I had tried to put it in like 10 different songs, and it didn't work until we wrote Water.
Awareness of what is so real and essential, so hidden in plain sight all around us all the time, that we have to keep reminding ourselves over and over, this is water.
The album cover's artwork is a bit unusual, but also very creative, I thought. Can you describe the cover's artwork and what was the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, there's the school I went to in New England kind of had these, what we called them bricks, which were just, they were a row of housing dormitories. And I found that photo while we were making the album. I think I would constantly flip through Pinterest and like old Tumblr pages and look at inspiration for, I don't know, just trying to see if anything kind of fit the world that I was writing about, being that we weren't there the entire time. We did go to Connecticut for a second, but and went into the chapel where I wrote a few of the songs. But I was just pulling inspiration, and I do that often when we're working on a record. And I stumbled upon this photo. I just thought it was striking, and I thought it would be really cool if we could use the photo as is. Unfortunately, we couldn't find the original file. We couldn't find the person who took the photo. It was a whole thing. And so Sam said to Crisanta, why don't you paint the photo? And it would give it a really kind of super, I don't know, it just gave it this different feeling of super realistic painting of the photo. So we did that. Crisanta painted it. And it was funny because there was a very, very short moment where I had come up with a completely different idea because I had forgotten completely about that photo being the cover. And Sam had to be like, what did you do? What happened to our cover? And I was like, oh, right. I forgot about that. And then we circled back to it. It just had the feeling. That's all. I can remember times when I was hanging out my window in that school. And I don't know, there's just so much in that photo.
For our listeners that haven't seen the cover, and I'm going to do my best to describe it, it's a person kind of stooped over the ledge or the edge of the window looking down. Is that an accurate description?
I mean, it can be whatever you want it to be. I think that's the beauty of it. He can be looking down. He can be, hanging out. It could be thinking. There's a bunch of different ways.
It was captivating when I first saw it. It's like, what's going on here? I want to know more.
That's the point. Fantastic.
Let's listen to a few tracks from the album. And if you could give us the backstory for each, that would be great. What can you tell us about the song Connecticut?
Well, I went in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic in December. I went back to that school, and I went into the chapel that was on campus, and this beautiful old stone chapel, the first place I ever sang in front of people in 2001. And now it was 2020, and I was like, I got to go back there and reconnect. And I did, and I kind of went this in December of 2020, and I put my phone down and I brought my guitar and I just started writing some ideas, and the line, I hear the voice of my father, just came out. It kind of felt like a mantra line. It kind of felt like something that you would repeat to yourself. Just song started kind of stem from there. And then we went out to the studio, to Isaac Brock and Modest Mouse's studio in Portland, and kind of got the whole band in there and kind of jammed and came up with ideas. And Connecticut kind of found its way. I kind of brought the demo in. Sam and I brought the demo in, but it was this kind of weird arrangement, and it didn't feel exactly right. And we all stepped into it, and the song just came out. It was a beautiful moment, actually.
It's a beautiful song, too. Let's listen to now. This is Connecticut by Low Moon here on CALS FM.
Can't believe I know you're here when I talk back. Born in the same bed, upside down and inside out, just like a spider in your web. Knew everyone that I knew disappeared in a suit. There goes the wonder of you. What a poor substitute. Are we all disillusioned? No doubt in my mind, the voice of my father. No doubt in my mind, the voice of my father.
Matt Lowell from Low Moon is our guest on the show today. Matt, before we get into another track, what would you like your fans to take away from this record?
That's a good question. I think, like all of our music, I think that there is so much reflecting that we all do. And I think when you listen to this record, I think I would say that it's okay to allow yourself to think about how you got here, how your path in life is okay, and that it's fine to have a different perspective on life, an interesting way that we kind of look at the world. And sometimes that's actually not really the case. Like I feel like we look at our past so much with kind of dread or nostalgia. And for this record, it was for me just looking back in my life with nostalgia. And there was just that feeling that I was trying to capture. I would hope that that's coming through in the record. But also, I will say this, and I think this is probably true for any artist, whatever feelings happen or come up when you're listening to music, those are the feelings that are supposed to be there. And I say that all the time because it's like, whatever I'm feeling isn't going to be the same for you or for the listener. It washes over you, and however that makes you feel is right. That's the right feeling.
Would it be safe to say that this is a record you listen to from the first track to the last track? Listen to it in one sitting like that?
Oh man, I'd like that. I'd like people to listen to it multiple times, because I don't think it's a one record listen, but I'll take that. I don't know how many people are doing that these days, Stephen. I wish that was the case, but I'll take it however we can get it these days.
I sure miss those days where you can just put a record on or a cassette and just play it all the way straight through. Speaking of different formations with this record, I noticed on the website, it comes in colored vinyl, a regular black vinyl, and cassette. Oh, why so many different variations? I'm not complaining here.
I think people like having different variations of the record. I also think like the cassette thing, I think is a collectible. I don't think anybody's really listening to cassettes, but it's cool. It's a way to offer the fans, having different versions. I remember like having different versions of records that model that I treasure different versions for different reasons. So.
I love it. Keep doing it. I'm going to play another song next. This one is called Water. What can you tell our listeners about this one?
Water was, again, it's the line, I wish you way more than luck. And, this song, we were up in Portland recording. Isaac Brock had this incredible Collins acoustic guitar that I couldn't put down the second I got there. And I had it tuned to this alternate tuning, and I just started playing that riff. And I didn't really realize that it was in a unique time signature, but no one was really paying attention. Actually, we were tracking Connecticut, and in between Connecticut, every take of Connecticut, I would just start playing this riff, and in my head, this kind of unraveling, and no one was really paying attention to me. So finally, the band took a break, and I went into the control room, and I just started playing it next to the engineer/producer, Mike Davis. And I was like, this is, and finally he turned around, he's like, oh, what's that? And I was like, this thing that I think is cool. Let's jam on it. And we did. I mean, it came out, and we went to sleep. And I remember I just couldn't get it out of my head. There was something that was so, I don't know. It's just like I kept coming back to it. And so the next morning I woke up really early, walked around Portland, and I had that line, I wish you way more than luck, and it fit. And we got together that day with the band, and we arranged it, and that was it. I mean, that version really is almost exactly, minus a few things, as it was, the day we wrote the song. So
Great.
I'm really proud of that song. It was a different feeling for us, and I was happy that we tapped into it.
Yeah, great story. Thanks for sharing that. Well, let's listen to now. This is Water by Low Moon, and you're listening to Cows FM.
Guardians in open fields, climbing up the borrowed hills. Tell me nothing else is real. Forever where the red lights spill. Unconscious of the world outside. While the autumn glides on by. And I know by now the bells define the sound of us and borrowed time. And I wonder what will become of us in your arms. I trust as the walls crumble into dust. Goodbye, I wish you way more than love. 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 I don't need my innocence just so I can lose it again. Soaking in the eastern rain. Now this is water, this is pain. 'Cause I'm infinitely transient, walking into town again, blowing in the western wind. Another soul empty man, and I wonder what will become of us in your arms. I trust as the walls crumble into dust. Goodbye, I wish you way more than love. 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 Goodbye, I wish you way more than love.
Low Moon's lead singer and frontman Matt Lowell is our guest today. Matt, do you have any future projects in the works that you can tell us about?
I have a future project. We're working on another Low Moon album. So that's fun. And having a kid, which I think is a future project, a bigger future project than music.
A future kid on the way, eh?
Yeah.
I wish you more than luck with that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll need it.
What can fans look forward to at your Rickshaw Stop show in San Francisco?
I think we're going to play a lot of new material. We're going to Europe, and we're going to do the East Coast, before then. So we'll be all warmed up, and we'll have a nice set list. And I'm really excited for this show. I love playing in San Francisco. I can't wait.
All right. We can't wait to have you here. Low Moon will perform February 3rd at Rickshaw Stop in San Francisco. Showtime is 8 p.m. For tickets and more info, please visit rickshawstop.com and be sure to visit the band's website for music and show schedules. Just go to lowmoonofficial.com. Hey, Matt, thanks for stopping by. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Keep it right here. The Backstage Sonoma Show will be right back.
Would you like to be a guest on Backstage Sonoma? It's easy. Drop the host an email at backstagesonoma@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to the Backstage Sonoma Radio Show on Cows FM. Join us next time for more great interviews and music from local and touring musicians.